Hey y'all, how's it going? It is time to discuss Miss Marvel episode 2, and oh my gosh, did I have an excellent time watching this. It is really beyond enjoyable, and I am just so surprised because when I was watching the trailer, I just was not feeling it. I was like, it looks too kiddie. It was like, it seems so immature. Not like immature, but just like below what I should be watching as like a 26 going on 27-year-old adult. That being said, no. I am so sucked into this, and what I think, okay, this whole episode specifically, it reminded me of those early 2000s coming of age movies. I mean, really, it could maybe be any coming of age movie, but specifically because I watched those, like the stuff with Hilary Duff or the stuff with Lindsay Lohan. Like, it just reminded me of that era. And I think even specifically, like, I think an obvious parallel that this movie kind of, I guess, feels like is Bend It Like Beckham, because, you know, you've got this family from, you know, Southeast Asia, and you've got a daughter who is kind of like the first generation moving, you know, living in the Western world, and so you kind of have to deal with the clash of cultures in a way. Like, what is it like growing up in between two cultures? That one obviously takes place in England, and Miss Marvel takes place in the United States, but it, you know, there's some similarities there. But overall, yeah, it is just it's been giving me a nostalgia trip. But not only that, but Iman Vellani, who plays Miss Marvel, I really gotta give a shout out and a round of applause to her, because I have just been enjoying her character. And usually I don't enjoy like characters that are kind of like always on 10. Not to say she's always on 10, but like, you know, she's just like got this sprightly, bubbly, kind of spunky attitude. And that's just, it's so funny because it's like you'll see her in interviews and she's not putting on an act. Like, when she is Miss Marvel, she's also herself. So I think that really works kind of well, because I'm like, whoever the casting agent or director was, they really knew what they were doing. They really hit the nail on the head. But even when she does have to like act and she does have to do those more emotional scenes, you know, to be so young, she sells it really well. So yeah, she is definitely becoming a favorite for me. Now let's talk about the powers for Miss Marvel, because we've got, of course, a change from her original canon, or whatever you want to call it. And so we find out in this episode that, okay, we know that when she puts on the bracelet, she's able to channel her powers, and she's shooting out basically light kind of diamond energy from her hands that can be solid. You know, she can also shape shift, but it seems to be they're really kind of leaning into the shooting out diamonds, right, and using that. So from when her friend Bruno was checking her out and running the diagnostics, what he said was essentially, the power isn't coming from the bracelet, the power is coming from inside of you. So at first I wanted to roll my eyes and be like, oh yeah, you know, that's cheap talk, you know, okay, now everyone in this world can have superpowers, and now, but I have to take that back, because I do like where they're going with this. So yeah, instead of her getting her powers from Terrigen Mist and being inhuman, having connection to Kree and all that stuff, what they're doing is kind of working, I guess, internally, right? And there's a huge mystery about why this bracelet has unlocked these powers, or why they've channeled these powers. And she tries calling her grandmother and she gets no information on that. But what I just really do like this whole mystery of, okay, well, what is going on? Why does the bracelet unlock? Why does she have powers in the first place? So essentially, we know that there is some connection between her maternal line and whatever the heck is going on. So we got this explanation during dinner where the father is kind of explaining the mother's history, her maternal line, and Kamala's grandmother, you know, was on a train. She was like a toddler, and somehow her mother, it was like a miracle that Kamala's grandmother got on the train, but the great grandmother did not. She was left behind, and now there's this big mystery about where did she go? Why was she gone in the first place? You know, the whole town has all these ideas talking about her, saying she's a disgrace to the family. She had like an affair, or she killed a man. But I mean, clearly we know all the gossip is not true, or at least greatly exaggerated. And so we have to now figure out this connection between the great grandmother, who seems like we're having, or at least Kamala's having visions of her, right? Like when she is trying to save the boy from the tower, and how does that connect through her personally? Now, as I was writing this was actually reminding me of Turning Red, and I'm just gonna have to get spoilers for this, or else I can't really explain what I want to talk about. But essentially, in Turning Red, which I had a complicated relationship with, and I ended up loving it, what happened was you have this line that runs through the women in the family where they all have the power to turn into a big red panda. And specifically for all of those women who inherit this power for generations, they were kind of stifling it off. Like when it came time when the power started to surface, they would perform a ritual and they were like, we don't want these, it's too unusual, it's too weird, women shouldn't have powers like these and stuff like that. So eventually it took the main character May to be like, but I actually like being cool and funny and having my character powers rather. So I'm like, that makes me wonder, is Kamala the only one with these powers, or does it run through the maternal line of the family? Like, does her mother have these powers, her grandmother? And I think clearly the great grandmother has something going on, and have they thus in turn shun these powers because they're different or because they're weird, or especially being a woman and being in the culture, it's kind of like, okay, you have to be in your place, you can't be just doing all sorts of wild things. And so it takes someone young like Kamala to be like, well, now I'm part of this generation, a woman, where we can do fun things, we can come out, we can be a little more, I don't know where I'm going with this, but you know what I think everyone knows what I'm trying to say, is she's the person who breaks like that generational curse, except for by breaking the curse, it means keeping your powers. So I will be interested to see where they take that, as well as, like, legitimately, does her mother and her grandmother, do they all have these superpowers, and are they repressing it just like we saw in Turning Red? And as well, where did the powers originate from? Because not a lot of heroes in the MCU like just naturally have powers. Like Thor is a god, so that happens. If you think about like Black Panther, they get their powers from the heart-shaped herb. So again, I'm also wondering, does this kind of relate to Turning Red, where I believe the women in that family got their powers from like a moon goddess or something like that? I wouldn't mind if they completely ripped off Turning Red, because I really like where it's going, but those are just my theories. And kind of the last big section that I want to talk about was the DODC, Department of Damage Control, spinoff of S.H.I.E.L.D. We got a little bit of them towards the end. It's like, wow, I was like, did a series forget about them? And I don't really mind. They're just like a minor inconvenience amongst all the other stuff going on in Kamala's life, which I really love. So really all they did in this episode was they interrogated Zoe, I believe, the popular girl, for a bit, and they got in some information on her, and they were able to eventually track her out in Jersey City, and she evaded them. But the big twist out of all that was the fact that the cute new popular boy in school who she had a major crush on picked her up right during that scene where she was being chased. And we find out that, well, we don't find out a lot, but we just know that his mother is somehow in on whatever's happening with her. So I feel kind of bad. Like I really liked Cameron as like the popular high school hottie who the girl falls for in the movie. And it really worked well, but I just knew, because they have been setting up a lot of stuff with Bruno and Kamala, I was like, I feel like there's gonna be something up with this Cameron guy, and whatever the case is, their relationship isn't gonna really flourish. So I'm just happy that he didn't betray her or anything like that yet. We don't know if he's gonna betray her. I'm hoping what ends up happening is that his mother, they somehow know about her powers, they know about her great grandmother, and they are able to help her and not harm her. She needs an ally right now. Otherwise, yeah, I'm just curious to see what happens with that. I think that was a really wonderful twist. I definitely didn't see it coming. So that is it, guys. But yeah, what a wonderful episode. I did not want it to end. So random stuff that I want to toss out before I go. I love that they name dropped Kingo from Eternals. He's a Bollywood star who's been living and has just been playing generations of himself. He's his father, he's his grandfather, Kingo 1, Kingo 2, all that stuff. So that was really funny. And then what I really appreciated the most about this episode, and the last one I didn't get to mention, was that we do have this just exploring the culture of Kamala and her family, right? That like today they went to a mosque and they prayed, and we saw that on camera, and they celebrated Eid. Like, you don't get that a lot, if at all, in Western media. And it's especially not something that I see a lot. And hearing the stories that when the father was talking about the partition of the country, I literally knew nothing about that because I've never been taught that in class or anywhere really. So I just wanted to say they did an excellent job of kind of showing this culture, giving us a history lesson, and just making it entertaining. I really, really enjoy that. I love being a global student and learning about other cultures and learning about other countries. So it was just super enjoyable to me, and the fact that it is in a Marvel TV show just makes it all the more wonderful. So now I'm officially gonna end it, leave it there, guys. Let me know what you thought about episode 2 of Ms. Marvel in the comments, and as well, be sure to check out, I've got a video where I talk about Squid Game, and it's kind of funny, so you might want to check that out. Netflix is gonna be making a real Squid Game, so click on that video as well. Before you head out, be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more, and I will maybe be back next week. I will be in California next week, so I don't know when I'm gonna get our episode 3 review out, but I will make sure that it comes out nonetheless. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.